Hello, please leave a message after the tone.
Hi, this is Chad McSimmons at the San Antonio Medical Center down here. And we have your son, Gregory, here in the hospital. It seems he was at his hotel room down here for a wrestling event. And it seems he may have clipped his genitals using a very, very dull razor. And we asked him what happened. He said he forgot his Manscaped, and he said he lives in Ohio to call his father, that he said he might know something about a lot about Manscaped, and to send him one or get any medical information he made from you. So if you want to give us a call back at 314-714. Thanks.
Hello.
Hey, Dad.
What's up?
Nothing. I'm feeling a little bit better.
From what?
Well, didn't you get that phone call?
Mm-mm.
I was in a lot of pain this weekend, but I was in the hospital for a couple days, but I checked myself out Sunday early evening and flew back home.
Doing that stupid wrestling shit again?
Didn't you get the voicemail? A doctor left you a voicemail.
Well, I checked my phone and there's no voicemail.
Well, I got a little bit of an abrasion down below.
Whatever. Don't even go there because I'll fucking hang up on you. I know exactly where you're going with it, so don't even.
I'm not going anywhere with it. Listen, I am a professional athlete, and
So you think.
that's insulting, first of all.
Whatever.
I was doing a lot of wrestling with weapons. There was a lot of light tubes involved in what I was doing this weekend. And,
Well, you're stupid for doing that.
well, I managed to avoid all of the cuts with the light tubes, but I had a dull razor, and, on the
Cut your
road.
dick off. Good.
No, I forgot to bring my Manscaped equipment, and I sliced up my testes real bad.
Oh, damn. Sucks to be you.
It was like deep cuts, man, and I had to go to the hospital. Why are you making fun of me?
Because you're an idiot for fucking using a razor blade to cut your balls, you dumbass.
You're not making me feel better about this, man. I mean, if I would have brought my Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0, I would have been okay, but I didn't.
Oh, I thought you hid it in my room.
No, that's the 3.0. But I had the doctor call
You're such
you.
a liar.
I had the doctor call you to see if you could ship it out there so we can rectify the situation, but you never got back to him.
You're such a liar.
I'm not lying. Holding back tears right now because this is very painful for me.
It's not my problem. You're the dumbass using a fucking dull razor.
I forgot my Manscaped equipment, and if I would have had the LED light that was on it, or the replaceable blades, I would have been okay, but
Well,
I had to use a dull razor.
why the hell did you even do it? You're stupid for doing that.
I just what if my balls fall out when I'm wrestling? I don't want people to laugh at me if they have hair all over them.
Yeah, whatever. You're such an idiot for doing stupid shit like that. I swear to God you are. You got any brains or do you sit on them?
I just, I don't know. I just like to be finely groomed there, and just, again, if my hog falls out, I don't want people to laugh at it for being covered in hair, and I'm very
Big fucking deal.
I'm very insecure about it, and when I call you and I try to talk about Manscaped, like, you think I'm joking, but like, it's really changed my life for the better.
How? Because your sex life is better? Big deal.
Well, over 70% of mates prefer a groomed man, and Manscaped has helped me with the women.
Who the fuck told you this shit? That Manscaped crap?
It's not crap, Dad. Okay.
Is it scientific evidence?
They provided a lot of scientific evidence in the pamphlets that they sent me, and the charger, the charge with the battery, it lasts up to 90 minutes, and like it just makes me feel better about myself, and I forgot it, and then I paid the price because I forgot it, and I cut my fucking balls with a dull razor. Okay.
Well, you're a dumbass for cutting your balls with a dull razor.
I just wish.
How stupid are you?
I just wish you would have called the doctor back.
I didn't get no call or no voicemail. If it's a number that I don't recognize, I won't answer it.
Well, I mean, I've been rubbing some cream on it, and it seems like it's getting a little bit better. But the stitches, and it's just, it's not good, Dad. It's not good.
I didn't tell you to do it. You did it because you didn't have no brains when you thought about doing it.
I was desperate, and just,
So what if your fucking balls fall out in a hurry? Big deal.
It's a big deal to me, though,
I don't know what's so big about having a fucking shaved nuts.
I don't know. Just when I shave them, they feel so much smoother, and Manscaped has helped them feel smoother. I don't know, man. It's just better, okay? I can't explain it.
I don't know why you would do something dumb like that. It's just pure stupidity. You knew you had a damn dull razor blade, but yet you went ahead and fucking did it and you cut yourself. Now, how dumb is that?
It's pretty dumb, but like,
pretty much.
But like,
pretty much.
Don't you think it would have been better if I would have remembered my Manscaped?
Yeah, but you didn't. I think you're giving me a line of bullshit.
I'm not. It was really, really bad. So much blood, and it just, looked like a massacre. Oh.
I don't understand why you gotta do that. To me, that's stupid. You're born with fucking hair. Why do you gotta shave it? The only place you should be shaving hair is on your face.
I like shaving my balls, okay?
Evidently, you get a thrill out of it.
It's not thrilling, okay? It's I'm in a very cosmetic business, and the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 has helped make that better for me.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay?
All I can say is nobody told you to fucking use a dull razor. You did it on your own, and that was your own stupidity.
If I come over, will you help me rub the topical cream on it? Because it's hard for me to do.
No.
Please.
I'm not doing it. No.
I'm not comfortable asking anyone else to do this.
Ask your girlfriend to do it. I'm sure she'll love to rub your balls.
I don't want her to see my balls like that.
Oh, well,
It looks like, you ever see Chucky's face after he gets blown up? He's got all those stitches in it in the movie. Like, it looks like that now. It's really gross.
Well, I can't help you. It ain't happening. I ain't doing it.
Come on, man.
Ask Ricky to do it for you.
Why would Ricky rub topical cream on my balls?
Because your fucking balls are fucking hurting, I guess.
Oh, what kind of dad are you? Here I am.
I'm not doing it.
I'm your son, and in my time of need, I just need you to rub something on my balls just a little bit, and you won't do it.
You could hate me for the rest of my life. I don't care, but I ain't doing it.
This is how.
I told you to take a dull fucking razor blade and do that to yourself. You are a pure idiot for doing that.
So, I don't know. Would you say I should use Manscaped then?
I don't give a shit what you use. I'm not rubbing your balls. Get a fucking wash rag and put it on there and then rub your balls.
Is this how our relationship's gonna end?
Evidently, I guess, because I'm not doing it. I didn't tell you to take the fucking razor blade and do it. You did. So you do what you gotta do.
Wow. Well, you know what? Happy Father's Day, Dad. Happy Father's Day.
Okay, goodbye.
I hope you enjoy it, man. Knowing that my balls are just pouring out blood. Just gushing blood. Okay, it's over. Oh, yeah. We're still recording. That went on for entirely too long.
Yes. Every time. Okay, so
Could you
back the curtain a little bit here?
Yeah.
I have to be leaving, and I just went outside for a minute because I didn't want Mr. Smith, Ralph.
It's Dwayne.
Dwayne.
Why do you think his name is Ralph?
Maybe I went to school with a kid named Ralph.
Okay. My grandpa's named Ralph. Maybe that's where he got it. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so I didn't want Ralph to keep hearing me laughing because he's heard me in the past.
Dwayne. Dwayne.
And he changed his name?
No. His name is Dwayne.
Okay. So I didn't want Ralph to keep hearing me because I wanted to get through the bit.
Yeah.
So I would go outside and sit down for a little bit, watch the birds, whatever. Every time I walk back, and this is several times, I walk back, I open the door, I just hear, I'm not rubbing cream on your balls, Greg. You use a dull razor. And then a bunch of F-bombs.
Well,
so I don't know.
Listen, this is the longest Manscaped promo we've ever done, but look, I think you all know that Manscaped is good for grooming the balls, and we just have to end this by saying that you got to try Manscaped's Lawnmower 4.0 or the Weed Whacker, which is good for nose hair and ear hair, and you use promo code PARDON, P-A-R-D-O-N, and it's going to save you 20% and get you free shipping. But if you use a dull razor, you should know by now, my dad is not rubbing any topical cream on your fucking balls. So if you make that mistake and you don't get Manscaped's Lawnmower 4.0, that's on you. Okay? That's on you. Aaron, I think we need to start the show.
Let's do it.
Initiating podcast download. Prepare yourself. Put on your spandex. Lace up your boots. Wrap your wrists. Hide your razor blade. Head to gorilla position. Grease up your hair. Apply baby oil. Okay, apply more baby oil. Get into gimmick. Keep your ears open and your mouth shut. Have fun and be safe out there, brother. Welcome to Iron on Wrestling. Now your host, Gregory Iron.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Iron on Wrestling with Gregory Iron. This is episode 107, and we've got a fun episode for you today. We have a metal episode, I guess, because our guest is WARHORSE. That's right. It's been a long time coming. I finally got WARHORSE on the show. I could have got him via Zoom a while ago, but I figured, the experience with someone like him, it's got to be done in person. And I got to tell you, I didn't want the conversation to end. You're going to love this interview with WARHORSE. You're going to see a different side of what... Okay.
The warriors of the past are telling you, Gregory Iron, to pardon the interruption.
Okay, the guest is WARHORSE and not the Ultimate Warrior, right?
Yeah, but is this the real WARHORSE, or is this the one, because he died?
Okay, I've never
This is
heard
the
that.
second
rumor.
WARHORSE?
How'd the first one die?
Well, there's a couple different stories going around.
What'd you hear?
But yeah, nobody wanted to say anything, but I had thought that the second one was one of the younger Von Erichs.
I don't think that's a real thing.
No?
No. Always been the same guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I must have my information. Let me check. I'll have to check with my sources, but
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
your
I
sources-
can't tell you who my sources are.
That's
because
fine.
I'm a respected podcast journalist.
yeah, it makes sense why you'd be an actual moron then, because your sources are probably also morons. So,
Well, I wouldn't say that about my sources.
okay. Anyways, great show today. You're gonna love the interview with Warhorse. You're gonna hear a different side of Warhorse. He actually, we were talking off air.
He's definitely my worst source.
Oh boy, it's gonna be one of these days, huh?
Have you ever had Worcestershire sauce?
No, I don't think so.
Have you ever had Warhorse sauce?
He opens up about a lot of stuff within his personal life in the podcast. In fact, you'll be shocked to hear that the Warhorse, as recently as a couple weeks ago, was contemplating quitting professional wrestling. That's right.
That's what it was.
What?
Yeah, he quit. Now this is the second Warhorse.
Okay. Well, anyways, I'm not going to spoil too much here, but you're going to love this interview, and we will get to that in just a little bit. Before we do that, Aaron, how the heck are you? What's new?
I'm good. Nothing.
Nothing at all?
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. And I was going to talk about my good weekend
Yeah.
because it's the first good weekend I've had in months.
Yeah.
However, I don't know if anything's going to top your dad not wanting to put cream on your balls because he received a prank call.
Well, we're going to have to try.
Okay.
That's all we can do is try.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If Dad ain't going to do it, I'll step up to the plate.
Okay, just tell me about your weekend.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so Lola was dying. I don't know if I told you that.
You had alluded to the fact that you thought that she might be dying because she's been so sick.
Yeah. I think maybe last podcast. No, you didn't have me on the last podcast. That's right. It wasn't important enough. Okay. You did that one on your own.
We took the week off because I was very tired and beat up, and I apologize. I felt bad for everyone that listens to the show and for Patreon specifically because, while the Patreon episode that we dropped last week was new to regular listeners, it wasn't new to the people that tune in on Patreon each and every week. And so for that, guys, I apologize, but thank you for letting me rest for a week and catch up on things in my life. It means a lot. And, yeah. Anyways, stop making me feel
and
bad.
plus, let me add, it wasn't actually ideal for me to record last week because of things going on here and with Grandma and all that. We've been dealing with going over to the house every once in a while, trying to clean some stuff out, get ready to maybe have an estate sale, that kind of stuff. So all that's been something that's taken a toll. But, then Lola's been sick, and I had made the appointment for Saturday to have her euthanized.
Oh, God.
Yeah, she just wasn't getting better. Very weak, could barely walk, can't get up to go use the bathroom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I had it set for Saturday afternoon, and on Friday evening, she showed a little spark. I gave her a piece of bread because she couldn't eat food anymore. Because as soon as she would eat food, she would just shit it out everywhere.
Mm.
Yeah, and puke it out everywhere. And she couldn't keep anything down. Everything was just like how it went in, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there was some blockage, something's right. Called, got the quote. Hated to do it. Tried to make sure it was on a weekend when the kids weren't here. Anyway, so Friday night she showed a little spark. Went to bed. Saturday morning, she got up and what do they say? She kicked out at 2.
Okay.
So, and she hulked up. It was really weird.
I like it.
She got up. And I said, well, if this is her last day, I'll give her a little actual dog food and see how she does.
Yeah.
She saw some friends of mine that I was working with, at I take clients on the weekends sometimes.
Yeah.
Individually. And it just seemed like she was responding really well. Came home from the outing with the clients, and she was running around and doing circles, and she kept up like Shawn Michaels.
Wow.
Just out of nowhere.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And I had told her, I said, well, before I go, this is it. This is probably, the last day here. And I think I don't know. You think, dogs can't understand what you're saying, but it really felt like she did. And she must have got everything out of her or something, because if I were to have taken her to the vets in the state that she was in on Saturday, they would probably try to have me arrested for, killing a pet.
Yeah.
Or trying to have a pet killed.
Sure.
I ended up canceling the appointment.
That's
and
wild.
Who's sitting next to you right now?
Lola.
That's right.
Surprisingly not drinking water while we're recording.
Well, she can't have much water right now.
Oh.
She can only have a small amount at a time.
Gotcha.
She starts drinking it too fast, she's puking.
Not good.
Yeah, a little bit of food. Cut the food down to a quarter of what she normally eats.
Mm-hmm.
And she's able to, it seems like right now, digest that and keep it down. And so that was kind of a nice thing.
It is. That's
You know,
good.
I
That's
was
good.
totally expecting the other way. Everything was going to go the other way.
Yeah.
It did not. So here we are.
So you said Lola kicked out at 2, and she
Yes.
hulked up. Now, after the hulk up, though, how many eye rakes did Lola dish out?
Well, Lola's more of a baby face.
Yeah, but that didn't stop Hulk Hogan from throwing
that's
massive amount of
right.
eye rakes on a regular
And
basis.
back rakes.
Yes.
Yeah. But have you ever looked at Hulk Hogan when he was like cutting a promo and you could see his hands? Like the times when he would take like the head of lettuce and shred it against the steel cage
Yeah.
in the promos and that. So if you look at his hands and his nails, Hulk Hogan's nails are always neatly trimmed and kept clean.
It's nice.
So those back rakes, I don't know what he was raking people with. The tips of his fingers.
Well, I mean, like for a while there, when he first started in the NWO, he wasn't even wearing fingerless gloves. So he was back raking people with full-on black gloves.
Yeah.
How's that going to hurt anyone?
Well, maybe there was something in those black gloves.
Oh, okay.
Razor blades?
Okay.
He used to keep them.
He keeps them under his lip, man.
And sometimes
Come
he
on.
forgets about them for a couple days.
I'll just be eating dinner, brother, and there's a razor blade in my mouth. Okay, Hogan. Anyways,
So that was my deal. I didn't have quite the weekend that you did, though.
I was in
Apparently out there in Texas.
yeah, San Antonio.
I'm from Texas.
I was wrestling for Heavy Metal Wrestling for a couple days. One show we did in a mall, which was pretty awesome.
Hey, I worked in a mall before.
So did I.
Yeah. Well, you were a security guard. I meant like wrestling.
Oh, you wrestled in a mall.
Yeah.
Where at?
Toledo, I think.
Okay.
A couple times in the actual Toledo Mall, and then because it used to be like a VIP Sports,
Okay.
and then they hit rock bottom or whatever, and went bankrupt, and then so the spot was vacant, and this federation used to run there.
That's the same deal at Heavy Metal. They run their shows in a little spot in the mall, right next to some place where you can get your taxes done.
Oh yeah. This was probably the same thing. And then also there was a time I wrestled at a mall in a parking lot, and then a man died in the ring. So
Oh yeah, you've told that story.
yeah,
That's very sad. Okay.
but
well,
no deaths at heavy metal, huh?
No deaths at Heavy Metal, not in the mall, but then there were death matches the next day because it was a 2-day event, and they did 3 shows in one day.
I bet the finish wasn't as
Okay, yeah, not as deadly, I guess. And death match is a term that doesn't literally happen most of the time. But, yeah, Heavy Metal did 1 show on Friday, 3 shows on Saturday, and they did in this big concert venue on Saturday. It was fun times. 440 was very dominant. It was me, Atticus Koger, and, of course, Ricky Shane Page down there together. And I don't know. We had some solid matches. We dominated, and then we went out and had some fun. We went on the Riverwalk by the Alamo. So young Addie had never seen the Alamo, so we took him over to that. And then we went to Ripley's Believe It or Not, check that out because I was very interested in that. We had a lot of fun there. And I also got my hand turned into wax, my gimp hand. I put it in a little thing of wax, and now my hand is forever immortalized thanks to a little wax museum there in San Antonio.
Boy, you know, I've been getting messages lately.
Yeah.
Ever since you posted it.
I've got a
Have
few
you gotten
messages
some
myself.
too?
Yeah.
I got one guy who says that he'd like to take that hand, purchase it from you, and then take that hand to a hotel room.
Okay.
And then wrestle it on a bed, on a mattress.
I don't know how that's going to hold up because it's wax.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's going to be some whacking going on.
I said wax, not whack. Not whack.
Yeah, he whacks it.
Okay.
Can you imagine you sell that hand and it's the guy that wants to wrestle you in the bed?
Listen.
What do you think he does with it? I mean, okay, let's just put the first thing out there. Is this hand for sale?
I think it could be for sale for the right offer.
Yeah.
I mean,
everybody's got a price.
It's a one of a kind item. You know, you're not going to find many Greg Iron hands out there.
Yeah.
So if someone wants it, you can slide in my DMs. We can work something out.
Do you think you will sell it for more or less than what you sold your soul for?
More than I sold my soul for.
Okay.
And
for those of you that don't know, Greg once sold a mason jar and said his soul was inside of it?
It was a jar of jelly.
Jar of jelly, okay.
Yeah, that was labeled Greg Iron Soul.
Yeah.
And it was actually I would sell my wax hand for less than my soul because my soul was $225.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I would sell the hand for a little less. But the jar of jelly did come with a Collective Soul CD and also the sole of a shoe. So it was a good deal. It's not like you're just getting jelly.
Dude, what do you think the guy that bought your soul did with the sole of your shoe? Because you know how many people were looking for like Vedas socks when I was managing you guys, or not managing, but that was your. What was I? What was my official role with you guys?
I feel like you were just kind of our
confidant or something. I remember Veda came up with something, and I thought it was pretty cool. It was almost like cheerleader.
Yeah, I was gonna say like our cheerleader.
Yeah. It was something like a supporter or something like that.
Yeah. But I don't know. I do know that jar of jelly is in a shadow box with a couple of my kick pads and an 8x10.
Mm-hmm.
So I can only imagine there's being seances held on a daily basis.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I may have to buy that hand. Just to make sure I keep its purity.
Yeah.
Because you know what somebody's going to do with it.
I don't know what you're going to do with it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Let me think of all the things I could do.
Please don't. Listen, let's move on. But
hey, that's what should be our next episode. Or maybe Patreon.
No.
All the things we could do with Greg's wax hand.
No. Please, no one on Patreon encourage this. Anyways.
Your fingers are small, too. So, like, if I needed to, like, if I had, like, something in my ear or whatever, I would use your hand to get it.
Okay. So, San Antonio was fun. We had a good time, and I can't wait to go back, especially because we just keep kicking the crap out of everybody at Heavy Metal Wrestling. So it's going to be great. And if you haven't watched Heavy Metal Wrestling, check it out on IWTV. You will enjoy it, particularly the upcoming episodes where 440 is beating everyone up. So, moving on, though. Guest later today, WARHORSE. So I figured we could talk a little bit about...
The original.
The original WARHORSE is going to be on the show. We found him, and we're going to talk about, to kind of segue into that interview, some of the more music-centric characters in professional wrestling. Figured that'd be a nice topic to go with WARHORSE. Even though he's not a music character, per se, he's not playing a musical instrument or anything, but he is very inspired by heavy metal. That's
that works perfectly because the wrestling promotion is called Heavy Metal Wrestling.
Well, he was at Heavy Metal Wrestling. Yeah, that's where we did the interview. He did commentary. He competed on the show. But when I think of music gimmicks in wrestling, one of the first that I think of, and I feel like you have more knowledge about him, especially based on when he debuted in your fandom. What did you think of Heavy Metal Van Hammer when he debuted?
Dude, man. As young as I was then, You would have thought that I would have loved that guy. I thought that guy fucking sucked.
Really?
Yes. It was. If I didn't love wrestling so much, and if say the shows were 2 or 3 hours back then when he debuted, that had for sure been the time when I changed the channel. However, his feud with Cactus Jack was wonderful.
Was it? I never.
Do you not remember it being
it.
cool, or do you not remember it at all? Maybe.
I don't think I watched it.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I saw it live. They wrestled in like a hog pen or something.
What?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I think Cactus Pile drove him into like the dirt of like where hogs or horses or something went, and Missy Hyatt was involved, and there was a shovel, and I don't know, man. The series with Jack was cool, but anything that Jack was doing, Cactus Jack, at the time, I was just gonna love.
Sure.
He might have been my favorite.
Well, so for me, like the first version of Van Hammer that I really remember is when he's in the flock.
Oh gosh, I don't even remember him being in the flock.
Yep.
What a good place for him, though.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Cause, I mean, like, 'cause I thought it was okay because for me, it wasn't like he wasn't the heavy metal guy at that point, and I never really knew him as a heavy metal guy. It was just kind of like he was Van Hammer in the flock, and then he was just some big jack dude that kind of jobbed a little bit, and then he was in the Misfits, and that's really my knowledge of Van Hammer. I mean, just a guy that had a job for a long time that I'm really not sure how he had a job for like a decade.
I just remember they brought in this guy that was similar looking to Van Hammer. His name was JT Southern, I believe. And supposedly the feud may... Now, look, you can fact check me because I'm sure the shit I'm saying may or may not... This was years ago, so I might be wrong on this, but I believe JT Southern came to WCW because Van Hammer was maybe the lead guitarist in a band that JT Southern wanted to be in, and so there was some kind of feud, or maybe he replaced JT Southern in a band or something like that. So it was all based off of something that may or may not have happened at one point in their lives.
Sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. And JT Southern got like a win one week, and then him and Van Hammer, I think, may have had a match, and I don't know that it was good. Because you're putting in, a guy you just signed with Van Hammer. Right. You know what I mean? Cactus Jack was probably carrying everything.
For sure.
When they were working.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Van Hammer was...
But JT Southern, that's another music guy.
I don't remember him, though.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, though, Van Hammer, do you remember the story about him last year, like, being involved with a DUI?
No.
And, like, you didn't hear about this?
No. I try not to keep up with wrestling.
Fair.
I mean, I host a wrestling podcast.
Well, and kind of a real shitty move. He not only was he involved in a hit and run, he hit and ran after hitting a 5-year-old child with his car. The kid lived, but Van Hammer got like a year probation, like a bunch of other shit. Kind of a terrible human. It's sad that his life has gotten to this point where apparently he's got a drug problem and clearly a drinking problem. So hopefully since then he's tried to clean his life up. But like, man, he fucking ran over a 5-year-old kid.
That's too bad.
Messed up.
Yeah.
Jesus.
All right, I wasn't prepared to go down that route.
Well, I'm just telling you the news and what's happening. I mentioned Van Hammer, but I think the quintessential original music gimmick, Honky Tonk Man. How did I not mention Honky Tonk Man first?
He was the first person I thought. There's JT Southern on the TV right now. Nobody else can see it, but I'm showing Greg who he is.
Okay, so we're going to have JT Southern on in the background. Maybe I'll get a little taste of what this guy is like.
I just want you to see what this guy looks like. You know what I mean? He looks like everybody.
He's very tall.
Back then. He looks like everybody, like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, sort of lanky. He looks kind of like
Van Hammer.
Van Hammer, but like also kind of like Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I could see that.
Interesting. I'll have to look into it.
Taller, but he's got fringe. He's got tiger stripes, and but he doesn't come to the ring with like a guitar. And so if the whole feud, if I'm remembering correctly, was based off of they were both guitar players, Van Hammer came to the ring with a guitar.
Yeah.
So this guy should probably come to the ring with, like, maybe the same guitar.
Yeah.
And I would have been okay with it if one of them would have stole the other one's guitar.
Could have been a good angle.
Yeah.
Listen,
and then they would have had a guitar on a ladder match.
Honky Tonk Man tried that when he came to Cleveland All Pro Wrestling back in 2007, only because he forgot his actual guitar in real life. So the angle was Lord Zoltan, his opponent, who we've talked about in the past, who, again, as a reminder, his gimmick is he's a man who paints his face, kind of like, I guess, Sting would be the only comparison. It's like white and black, but he has like a flat top, and sometimes he had a rat tail, but he just looks like a normal-sized guy, but he wears a cloak. But then when he takes the cloak off, he's wearing what appears to be pajamas.
Yeah, he's very nice, but very evil.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. I don't understand the Zoltan gimmick, but he is very nice, minus the very evil thing. But Honky Tonk Man.
Oh, yeah. The Honky Man.
So when you were watching wrestling, do you remember watching the when he debuted as a babyface?
Yep.
So tell me about that.
Made an impact on me.
Well, because I feel like that's, when I look back at it, knowing the Honky Tonk Man like I do as one of the biggest heels of that era, seeing him try to debut as a babyface is a very, very awkward thing.
It is, but at the same time, have you watched it?
Oh, yeah.
Recently?
Not recently, but
Yeah.
I've watched it.
I remember it was uncomfortable as a kid. Like, I thought, okay, I'm supposed to cheer this guy. And I thought, I don't think I like him. I just, it's like how they always talk about, like, Vince McMahon doesn't like somebody's face.
Yeah.
And so, like, it was like Honky Tonk Man. I just didn't like his look. Mm-hmm. And it was very hard for me to like him. And it seemed like his babyface stuff was a little out of real life character. Like he wasn't naturally a babyface.
No.
But when he debuted, he kept talking about Hogan was the one that hyped him.
Right.
I got a friend coming, or something. And then he talked about his friend Hulk Hogan.
You think that would have been his perfect endorsement,
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan. But you know what? When you look historically, just because Hogan endorses you as like his friend, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get, the rocket strapped to you and go to the moon. Because I think, fast forward a few years when I started watching wrestling, Typhoon seemed like he was going to be the guy, and it never really pans out to be anything. They do the thing with the friendship bracelets, and it really doesn't go anywhere.
Well, his name was Tugboat, and he was a tugboat.
Yeah.
Like, how does it get you anywhere?
Right.
Toot, motherfucker.
And he dressed like a small child in a sailor outfit.
Yeah. It was really weird.
Very weird.
And I kept thinking, this ain't the guy. You know, like Warrior, Ultimate Warrior?
Yeah.
You looked at him and you went, okay, him and Hogan. Okay. The Warrior's the next guy.
Yeah.
You just thought that.
But see,
you look at Tugboat and you go, not this fucking clown here.
Well, see, obviously they did the best friend thing with Macho Man and Hogan. That was the one that, you can't touch that one. But Hogan did befriend a lot of people as, like, his close friend for, it was just, he always picked, like, what seemed to be, like, a weird guy. Like, Hillbilly Jim was, like, his close friend. And, like you said, Tugboat was his close friend. And Honky Tonk Man's a close friend. It's just, like, there's these guys that just, like, why is Hogan befriending these guys? It doesn't work. Only Macho Man kind of worked.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful?
Yeah, I guess Mr. Wonderful worked. Yeah, for sure.
But Mr. Wonderful was the first one that I remember that turned against Hogan.
Yeah, back in '86.
Yeah. I watched that live on tape or whatever they did. But I remember, whatever it was, Saturday morning or Sunday morning, I saw it happen. I knew it was coming.
What, outside of being Intercontinental Champion for 16 months, what do you think is the standout moment of the Honky Tonk Man's run in the WWF?
The guitar shot on Savage.
Yeah.
The shove of Elizabeth.
Yeah, that is pretty iconic.
Yeah, because I remember that. That got me.
Yeah.
And the way that Honky set it up, where he was about to hit Savage. No, not this way. Let me come from the left side. Okay, and about to hit him. No. Okay, wait. I'm gonna go. Maybe I should go from the middle. Wait a second. I don't see this as the best shot. Hold on a sec. Keep holding him, Heart Foundation, and then eventually he hits him, right? And then Elizabeth comes out with Hogan.
Yep.
That was a beautiful angle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heart Foundation being the henchman. That was great.
But it's weird that you would pick that moment because I feel like if I were to guess, I would have thought that you would have picked the debut of Rhythm and Blues hit single, Hunka Hunka Honky Love.
Yeah.
Mostly because the performance was interrupted by Butch and Luke, the Bushwhackers. I don't know why you don't pick out that moment as one of your standout honky tonk man moments.
That might be a time where I just cleared that from my mind.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I need to talk to a therapist about.
I feel like you and Luke have a close, deep bond.
It wasn't that deep. It barely touched the hole.
Okay, well.
It never. There was no penetration.
Let's jump ahead and we'll skip around here. John Cena as a rapper.
Sweet, dude.
One of my favorite characters of all time.
Dude, he was good. I thought it was fun.
I loved that shit.
Yeah.
And you know what? I liked when it was kind of geeky in the beginning, too, when he had Bull Buchanan with him, B Square. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but
where he would just have B Square at the end go booyah. It was great. I thought Bull Buchanan was finally going to get over, and then he got released pretty quickly after that. But John Cena's raps, very iconic, and it's nice that he can kind of bring that character back out every so often for nostalgia purposes. He did it against The Rock in the build-up to one of the WrestleManias. He did it at a WrestleMania a couple years ago. I think it was with Elias. His raps, all off the dome, very good, and most of those raps you cannot do today. That's for sure. One specifically I remember, it was a pre-taped one where he cut a promo, or he did a rap that somehow incorporated John Ritter's name, who had just died. So he kind of shot on John Ritter in this rap.
Are you sure he wasn't talking about Nick Ritter?
No one knows who Nick Ritters is. Especially John Cena.
Are you sure?
Pretty positive.
Okay.
Can you explain to the audience who Nick Ritters is?
Nope. No one can.
Okay. Okay.
He's a man of mystery.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought him up then to not explain anything. But I did love John Cena rapper gimmick. It was great. I think his feud with The Undertaker around that time period was very underrated. Go back and watch that from Vengeance 2003. But also, I think the thing that really solidified the character was his feud with Brock Lesnar. Because he talked about how Brock Lesnar had the F5. He's got the FU. And now we know it as the attitude adjustment because you can't call moves an FU. But, yeah, I really love John Cena 2003. It's really good stuff.
I liked it so much that I ended up buying the DVD.
Oh, Word Life?
Yep.
Great DVD.
And I've told this before, but me and John McChesney, we were getting ready to head to TNA the next day. And he had stayed at my house the night before so we could just leave from my house and head out to Nashville. And I put that DVD in, that John Cena DVD, and that song comes on. So at the end of a DVD, it just goes to the main menu. And I remember we had fallen asleep or passed out or however you want to call it. And the whole night, every time I woke up, I just kept hearing, Word Life. This is basic thugonomics. Word Life. And McChesney heard the same thing, but we couldn't find the remote control. So we couldn't shut the TV off.
Oh,
and the button to the TV was broken, so you couldn't just shut it off.
Why didn't you just unplug it?
Well, then you'd have to get up and move, and I don't want to do that when I'm sleeping because then I'll be awake for another hour or two. Very hard for me to fall back asleep.
That's really sad.
Unless I am under the influence of a substance or two.
Okay, let's move on. Rappers in wrestling. I also think of Men on a Mission.
I think of your boys, the Acclaimed.
You know what? That is a modern version, yes.
I really like that dude that raps. I think he's funny. Max Caster?
Yes.
Platinum Max Caster? Have you seen his TMZ video?
I have not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I think they do an episode of TMZ, and then he watches it, and then he creates a freestyle when it's over, of a freestyle recap of everything they talked about.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so I think it's worth going out of your way to to give a listen to or to give a watch to.
I did some shows.
I think
with
that
him.
dude's good, man.
Yeah, out in New
And they're good
Jersey.
athletes, both of them. Anthony.
Very talented. Yes, I worked with Anthony back when he first started.
Oh
at
yeah, he's been
WrestlePro.
posting pictures of you.
Yeah, he was.
You guys together.
He was involved with in a tag match. Him and his partner. It was them versus the Blue Meanie and Nova versus me and Zach versus Amazing Red and Brian XL. So that was my first match at WrestlePro back in like 2014, and he was just coming off being a student at the time. So glad he's gone on to some success. And Max Caster, very talented as well. Done shows with him, and impressive build, and talented performer.
All right, I'm sorry. You had originally started by saying somebody. Oh, Men on a Mission.
Men on a Mission.
Oh, that's probably why I skipped, because that's got awful. And I know your boy wrapped you to Resolutions.
I wouldn't call him my boy though.
Curtain jerk.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he.
But he led the show off, and I thought, dude, I was hyped when it happened.
We were all hyped when it happened because it was such a random thing for Oscar to come out of the woodwork and perform. Because at that point,
Well, he wasn't even booked.
Originally,
Right.
I don't know.
He was not even in the plans or anything.
Yeah, I don't.
Didn't he reach out to you or somebody? It was
So
like, yo.
at the time, Johnny and I were watching Raws from 1993 randomly, and I think at one point we started watching these Men on a Mission vignettes, and we go, "Whatever happened to Oscar from Men on a Mission? Like that's weird. Like what you just kind of disappeared after they turned heel, and blah blah blah." A couple months later, Wally the promoter's on the phone, and we hear him talking. He gets a phone call randomly, and we just hear him go, "Hello? Yeah. Okay, yeah, the show's booked. Yeah, I don't care if you used to work for the WWF." And then me and Johnny were like, "Who the fuck is this on the phone?" And so like we kind of gave Wally a look like, "Ask who it is." And he goes, "What was your name in the WWF?" And he goes, "Oscar from Men on a Mission." And then me and Johnny just looked at each other wide-eyed like, what the fuck? Like this, what? And so we're like, "Tell him you'll call him back or something." And so he's like, "Oh, let me take your number and I'll get back to you maybe." So we was like, see what he wants. Like, I don't know. Like he couldn't. What? You just coming out of the woodwork? And he said, he says he's from Cleveland, and he came back to town to see some relatives, and he's going to be around for the month, and he would like to do the show. And I said, well, let's find out what he wants to do it. You know, like he can't be expensive. And so when Wally went to go meet Oscar, he was going to meet him
Who's
at
Wally again?
the promoter.
Okay, Wally
PW
the promoter.
Of PWO. And so we end up going to this hotel. He wanted me to come with him because he said, like, well, you'll know what this guy looks like. And so we're sitting there in the lobby because for some reason Oscar wouldn't give us his hotel room number. I don't know. And so he comes down to the lobby, and just like in a movie, like Wally's getting like anxious and mad because he's waiting for this guy for like 15 minutes. And
Why'd you look at your wrist right now?
I don't know. I thought like if I looked at my
You
wrist,
thought like you've worn a watch before?
Yeah.
Okay,
I never
'cause
wear a watch.
You never
ever.
have worn a watch any day that I've ever known you.
Anyways, and so Wally's back is to the elevator as he's like talking shit, and I see the elevator open, and there he is, Oscar from Men on a Mission. And he was very nice and polite, and he said he wanted nothing to participate for Resolution, which I found interesting. He said he just wants to do it. He hasn't done anything wrestling in a long time, and he was recently engaged, and he wanted to show his fiance his in-ring work, or I guess his in-ring rap. And so we said, okay, free sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
And so he was offered tickets to give to his family, and at one point during the show, Adrian, Johnny's mom, came up to me and said, "Hey, have you been selling VIP tickets to people?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "People have been coming up with VIP tickets and said that they bought them off of Greg." And I said, "I don't have any VIP tickets to sell." Well, we find out after Resolution that Oscar had taken these VIP tickets that he was supposed to give to family members, and he had sold them to people and apparently just pocketed the money. And also, we weren't sure why he was calling himself Greg, because his name that he told us was Clem. We could call him Clem.
Uh-huh.
And then after this, he kept trying to talk to Wally and told him that he had some connections with some channel in Aspen or something. And so I don't know what the fuck he was talking about. But he went to a sponsor over Wally's head. And I believe they were Noise and Toys. It was a company that put stereo systems in cars. Okay. One of our bigger sponsors. And he went to them trying to talk about how he can bring in big name rappers for autograph signing, like Dr. Dre and Master P, because he's boys with them, and just like naming all these people. And he was like trying to basically get a lot of money from Noise and Toys and claim that he was working with Wally. And then Wally got wind of it. And so then there was a big falling out between Oscar and Wally. And so basically Oscar...
I wish that would have culminated in a match at Resolution.
It wasn't meant to be, but he was a big con artist. And I don't know what he's doing now, but hopefully...
8 to 12.
Okay, that sounds
in federal pound me in the ass prison.
But you didn't like Men on a Mission when they debuted?
No.
Not your style?
Come on.
These
fucking guys.
I'm just saying.
The one guy was huge.
Yeah.
And just wearing purple. And the other guy, I thought was like his grandfather.
He did look rather
this
old.
This fucking old-ass man was Prince Mo or whoever.
Yeah. Mo
fuck you.
What? Fuck you.
Why the fuck do you have a job?
I mean...
here's what would have been sweet,
wow.
Okay? If Men on a Mission were rappers, and so Oscar would rap them to the ring, Mabel would be doing, he used to shuck and jive.
Mm-hmm.
And then if Mo would have been the grandpa, and he was like, turn that noise down!
Okay.
And then, you know what made me the worst part about Mo? This is what made me the maddest about Mo.
Okay.
This motherfucker was doing moonsaults. Moonsaults.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
What gets you angry about that?
Yeah, I don't want to see a 70-year-old man unless it's Terry Funk doing a moonsault.
Oh, come on, man.
Huh? And it wasn't even that good of a moonsault. So it ruined the credibility of the moonsault to me, because I was like, yo, if my grandfather can do a moonsault, I guess everybody in wrestling can do a moonsault.
Do you remember when we went to that Heroes and Legends show to meet Bobby Heenan?
Yes.
And I was wrestling on it, and on that show, Men on a Mission were supposed to reunite. Do you remember this?
No.
Man. I just remember because me and Zach Gowen had to surround the ring,
mm-hmm.
and they were doing a 10-bell salute for Mabel, who passed away. So Oscar and Mo were in the ring. And Oscar, who again, I've already known him as a con artist. Like literally, he would AOL instant message Joe Dombrowski asking for money on a regular basis. Like this guy is just a con artist. And so now I'm seeing him again for the first time in months, and he's in the ring with Mo, and they're mourning the loss of their friend.
Mm-hmm.
And Oscar is just kind of making a scene. Like Mo is trying to maintain his composure and say a few words, and Oscar, who doesn't have the mic, is just saying, take your time. He's saying it low first. He's like, take your time. But then he starts going, man, take your time. Take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time. And I remember like looking at Gowan like, oh my God, like, is this necessary? Like the dude
I think I sat with
died.
Ichiban. That guy.
Oh,
Big Freaky.
Ichiban Drunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible photographer out of the Chicago area.
Yeah. I think I sat with him for the event. And that was a good time, man. I enjoyed spending time with that guy. We had fun talking and shit. And I think I revealed to him before anyone else, I go, oh, man, look at Bushwhacker Luke's in the ring with that young guy. I said, you want to hear something fun about him? He's like, what? And I was like, I bet he grabs this guy's ass and balls a bunch of times during the match. And he's like, oh, why would you say that? I said, well, when I was 13 or 14, he grabbed my ass and said, whoa, Bushwhacker style. And I was like, that's Bushwhacker style to touch a young boy? That's what that means? Oh, okay, I get it, because they lick those young boys' heads.
Oh,
Yeah, so, but me and that dude got along real well. And then one time I think he got in trouble or something. He showed up to an AIW show real early and was in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And he drives a white van with no windows.
Yeah.
And the AIW show was a school for Catholic children or something.
Yeah.
And it was during school hours. So, 11 a.m., there's a guy in a white van in the parking lot. And they approach, like the pastor or I don't remember what it's called, the cardinal or something.
Yeah.
He comes up to the van and knocks on it. This is the story I got from AIW office.
Oh, so I'm sure it's exaggerated, but continue.
No.
Yeah, continue.
We're getting ready to get shut down here. And I go, why? And I go, Ichiban's in a white van outside. And look at him. And it just looks wrong, man. And the guy comes out and says something to him about moving. What are you doing here? He says, I'm here to watch the wrestling event later tonight. Yeah. And they said, well, it's 11 a.m. and the wrestling event doesn't start till 7. And he's like, well, I drove in from Chicago. And they're like, okay. Yeah, you need to leave. He's like, where do I go? And they're like, oh, well, anywhere.
And then,
not here at a school for young children.
And he was standing there. He's like, listen, I'm standing outside of my van, minding my own business, eating candy. Okay, like, just leave me alone. And you know what? Look, I'm a nice guy. If any of those kids in there want some of this candy, they can come right out here and get it. I got some more in the van. So I don't understand what the big deal is.
And I remember when I got there, I saw it and I go, if anybody wants some of this milk, it could be our milk.
No milk, or it would be our milk. Sorry.
Rest in peace, Billy Madison.
I'd rather have a beer.
That janitor. Rest in peace, that janitor.
He's not
You
dead.
Tried to get him on the show.
He's not dead.
He's not dead?
No.
Who was dead? Oh, the guy that stepped in a flaming bag of poo?
Yeah. Old man Clemens.
And the lunch lady. Have some more sloppy joes.
The lunch lady is also dead. Very tragic. Yeah, I don't know why we're smiling and laughing about this, but
they brought smiles to our faces.
They did during that period of time. What about?
Oh, every period of time they bring a smile to my face. I could watch that movie every day, and laugh about that.
It's tremendous. What about Jeff Jarrett and Jesse James?
I thought that was a sweet angle. I really, really liked it. Yeah. I thought there was a lot of thought that went into it, and to have Jesse James be revealed as the actual singer, man.
A year later,
yeah,
when Jeff Jarrett was gone.
Well, yeah, I think they put a lot. I can't believe that motherfucker's in the WWF or WWE in a prominent position and in the Hall of Fame.
What do you mean you can't believe it?
It's just wild, man. Like, he screwed up the whole angle with him and Rhodey. Yeah. That they invested a lot of time and money into.
They sure did.
I mean, the production of the video. I'm sure they've talked about this on other podcasts. Is there another podcast that Jeff Jarrett talks to people on?
Yeah. Done by Conrad Thompson.
Yeah. Remember when I got a tattoo that says Arn with a duck foot on my arm? Yeah. And then he never promoted us?
Did he not promote it? Because I haven't listened to Arn. So I
haven't listened to anything. There's so many podcasts, I can't listen to anything anymore.
I'm not listening.
I go to press play, and it's like, oh, God, I don't know what I'm doing. And by the time I go to press play, I wake up in the morning, and I realize that I never press play on anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would think that if he promoted the podcast, Conrad, pronouns, I would think that we would have heard about it.
Right.
At this point.
Yeah, so maybe throw a little message out to him, because I'm getting ready to get this tattoo covered up. And
yeah. Yeah, it does say Arn on your arm.
One of the last things my grandma said to me before she died was,
why did you get an Arn tattoo on your arm?
She looked and she said, oh, you got your name on your arm, huh? She was looking at it, and I could tell something was wrong. You know what I mean? And I went, yeah. I said, it's almost there. I forgot to get the A and the O.
It says Arn. Oh, God.
And then this guy at work was like, oh, sweet, you got a tattoo, and it says arm on your arm. And I was like, yep.
Yeah, it says arm, but then it's a hand. What? I'm real confused.
Yeah, but it's on my arm.
Yeah.
I gotta get this. Fucking something's gotta give here.
Oh God!
Well, should I tweet Conrad right now? Right here, right now?
Go ahead. Send him a tweet.
Let me see. How do I get to Twitter?
But yeah, you do make a good point
Is
about
that
Jeff
an
Jarrett,
app?
though. Yes, it's an app.
Am I hashtagging right now?
Jeff Jarrett did walk out after In Your House 3, and then he came back for a while, and then he he took $300,000 of the Gundarinas money at No Mercy 1999, and I mean, when you really put it like that and you think about the idea that Double J did take that money from the Gun and then went right to WCW, it's hard to believe that he found his way back. But to be fair, it took like 20 years for him to find his way back. So time heals all wounds, and Jeff Jarrett's character was one of the more memorable characters for me during the New Generation period of the WWF. Like his matches with Razor Ramon, very memorable to me.
Matches are good. I know I've told this before, but when I was at the Fairgrounds TNA pay-per-view, afterwards, everybody on the show went to a bar, and I was across from Jeff Jarrett. I happened to be sitting with Abyss at the time, which I didn't know him, really. It was like me, Abyss, and James Storm, and I don't know how I was sitting in between them two, but if you imagine, I mean, I'm like 5'5". Well, you can imagine because you're a tiny little fellow.
Sure.
And I remember I just looked across and I saw Jeff Jarrett sitting there, and nobody was approaching him because, like, he was the owner of TNA maybe at the time.
Yeah.
Or he was partners with Dixie. And so I just walked over to him. I sat down and I said, I'd like to buy you a beer. And he said, I'd like to drink a beer. I said, all right. So I told the bartender, give us 2 of whatever Jeff Jarrett was having. And then I sat there and talked to him about that match with Shawn Michaels.
Classic match.
Yes, at In Your House. Yeah. Oh, man. I told him, I said, dude, here's why I'm buying you this beer. Solely based off of that match. I love that match. That's a pay-per-view classic to me. I thought it was wonderful. I loved how those two worked together. I thought, you know, they talk about where some guys you just have the chemistry.
Yeah.
I thought they had the chemistry.
Yeah.
And Jarrett told me, yeah, sometimes you're just feeling it with somebody, and it was one of those nights, and I was going in there with some motivation. But I think he was going in to show the WWF what they'd be missing once he walked out.
Yeah.
And I don't think they gave a shit or something.
Maybe, yeah. Well, it's interesting that you use the term chemistry and feeling it with someone, because I feel like, and sometimes you could try to deny that chemistry, and I feel like you did that in your confrontation with Bushwhacker Luke. You know, you guys were having chemistry, and I feel like you were really feeling it, or at least he was really feeling it. What say you?
He was definitely feeling it, and then I felt it.
Oh, boy.
I felt the hand of the whacker.
Why is he he's just simply the whacker now?
Well, he wasn't whacking no bushes that night.
Oh. Give me one more musical...
Whoa!
Okay, give me one more musical act in wrestling.
Oh, why do I got to give you just one? Dude, what about 3-man band?
Yeah, I love 3-man band.
I'm a 3-man band.
2 out of 3 of those members went on to be WWE champions.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Drew McIntyre makes sense, but, you know, I don't know about...
There's still time for the fuck, man, I don't know. The other guy.
The other guy, Heath Slater?
Yes.
Yeah, Jinder
That was
Mahal,
his
of course, is the other one who won the belt.
Okay, so you're watching 3-man band back then.
Yeah.
And somebody tells you 2 out of these 3 guys are going to be world champion in the future. Which 2 do you pick? You know you pick Drew right off the bat because he was Vince McMahon's handpicked chosen one. In the storyline, he put that over. So I'm picking Drew automatically.
Yeah, I probably.
So then, do you pick Jinder or do you pick Heath?
I probably would have picked Heath.
I probably would have picked Hornswoggle.
I fucking knew you were gonna do that, dude. I knew it.
How did you know?
I just know you.
You just fucking know me.
You're an asshole, man.
You complete me.
Okay, Jesus God. Well, you know, I'm happy.
So I only picked that one, but there's so many more.
Well,
Man Mountain Rock.
Man Mountain Rock. He did have a moment in the sun. Well, technically, he was kind of doing like a musician gimmick when he was Max Payne in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of just a play off
I'm not
that.
even done yet.
Well, you know what? I feel like we should talk about more.
Oh, well, The Rock?
Yeah. What?
The Rock wasn't a musical act?
I don't. I feel like he wasn't.
For a while, he just played songs on Raw.
He would sing quite often.
Yeah.
Well, since Rock's baby left him, found a new place to dwell. It's down at the end of Jabroni Drive at SmackDown Hotel. I'm not The Rock, so I can't do it like him. But
Oh, you're not? Here I've been thinking, I was podcasting with The Rock all this time.
okay,
but I
fuck
guess
you,
I-
man. Listen, let's talk about some more musical acts in wrestling on the extended version of Patreon, which we're going to go to right now. We just did like an extra 15 minutes for patreon.com/irononwrestling. And there's going to be a lot of bonus content up this week, bonus episodes. I might be putting some bonus video up. Who knows what kind of bonuses
Well,
will go
we
up
owe
this
it
week.
to them.
Yeah. Last week I took the week off. It was the first week I took off in a year and a half on the Patreon. Sorry, guys. I hope you understand. I mean, I do feel bad about it, admittedly. But
I remember when I told you, not last week because I wasn't on the podcast last week. You skipped that one. The week before, I said, look, the only thing that's getting me through these tough times of mine right now is probably this podcast and doing this podcast. And you said, oh, I really feel you, man. And then 2 days later, you called and you said, hey, man, I don't think I want to do another podcast this coming week, so
that's not
talk to you
what
later.
happened. And you know what? I feel like it's been like pulling teeth to try to get you to do the podcast lately. Okay,
I'll pull your teeth.
because you've
And
been
then what?
you've been in your emotions, man.
I'll
All
give
right.
you an emotion.
Anyways, listen. Patreon.com/irononwrestling is the best way to support the podcast. Starting at $3, you get a buttload of bonus episodes. You get some bonus video. $5 is a great tier because you get involved in the Zoom call. And if you what?
You get to sniff my mustache.
Okay, yeah, or an alpaca will sniff your mustache for $5. But if you give us
Or
$5,
I'll sniff an alpaca's mustache for $5.
if you give us
Look,
$5,
it's hard times right now.
you get bonus content and you get involved in the Zoom call, which is probably the heart and soul of the community that we're creating on Patreon. And we love the Zoom calls that we do once a month. It's just a nice little tight-knit family over on Patreon with the Zoom calls. $9 is the perfect tier because not only do you get the bonus content, the Zoom calls, you get to pick a bonus podcast subject every single month. We have a bunch in the queue that we're trying to get to, and we're going to be putting some up this week that you selected over on Patreon. $20 and up, you're going to get stuff in the mail from us, and we're going to be sending out a package before the end of June here. And
Small package?
It's a pretty big package, actually.
Oh, really?
And it's going to include a couple rare autographs that no one in the world is going to have except for roughly 30-ish people. So if you want in before those packages are gone, we already had a new $20 Patreon subscriber this past week. Urka, thank you for signing up for the Patreon at the $20 level. We also had that dump truck ass sign up for the Patreon at the, well, it's not an actual level. He picked his own amount, which you can also do. He signed up for $6.66. I wonder if that man believes in God. Michael Blake, thank you for signing up. We appreciate you. And, of course, our newest Patreon subscriber just a few hours ago, Lick Golden Hanowski. Thank you for your Patreon subscription. We appreciate you guys. We're literally 3 members away from 69 members over on Patreon. Please help us achieve our small, immature dream of having 69 Patreon subscribers. We appreciate you guys, and we appreciate the support. It's a fun time. It's a great community. Patreon.com/irononwrestling. But if you want to support the podcast in other ways, you can do so just by subscribing on iTunes or wherever you download your podcast. Give us 5 stars. Leave a comment. Let us know what you feel about the podcast. And you know what? If you leave a comment and if you give us 5 stars and you screen cap and you send it to us, because I know a lot of you listen to the podcast, take the time to do it. I'm going to select one of you guys this month to send you out a free autographed Gregory Iron 8x10, courtesy of the NRD podcast. That's right, a free autographed Gregory Iron 8x10. I'll send out to someone before the end of the month if you subscribe, leave 5 stars, and a comment. over on iTunes about the podcast and you send it on over to us, you'll be in the running. Not that bad of a deal. Also, subscribe to the Iron on Wrestling YouTube channel where we're uploading rarities all the time. And that's about it that I have to plug. But, you know, my dad was just calling me, so I'm going to call him back. I got to see what he's got to say.
Okay.
What?
You called me.
Yeah, listen to the fucking voicemail. Why would a doctor call me to send a manscape when the fucking damage is done? You're lying to me.
I'm not lying.
Yeah, you are. Don't give me that shit. You're such a snake.
I'm not. What do you. No, my snake has been cut.
Yeah, that's not my problem. You're faking it.
Why are you mocking me?
Call your girlfriend and tell her to rub your nuts. Goodbye, Greg.
Nicole doesn't want to rub my nuts while they've been cut up. I love you. Okay, so Dad called back to say all that stuff, and actually I'm seeing that he left me a voicemail. Hold on.
It wouldn't be right if you didn't play the voicemail.
I think we should
right
play
here,
right now,
in front of all these people.
Yes, here we go. Let's see what he said.
Hey, dipshit. Why would a doctor call me to send the fucking manscape after the fucking damage was done, you fucking moron? Don't give me no more of that bullshit. With your fucking dick and manscape. Bye.
What the fuck? You and your fucking dick. Oh, God. Why does he get so mad?
He don't want nothing to do with, putting cream on you, especially in the lower abdomen.
I don't know if I can do the rest of the show. Okay. All right, we gotta get back on track here. After that ridiculous call from my dad, I don't know what else to say. Perhaps maybe it's time for us to go to a word from our sponsors, and when we come back, we're gonna have the interview with the one and only WARHORSE, and I think you're gonna like it. If you're in the pro wrestling or entertainment industry, you probably realize how important it is to have merchandise. Not only does it help you when it comes to bringing in additional revenue for yourself, but the look and feel of merch is a representation of the brand you're building. So you definitely don't want it to suck. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, where can I find a reliable and reputable artist that'll make me a solid t-shirt or pin design that'll make me look and feel like a superstar? Well, I've got the answer for you. Of the Dead Designs. Of the Dead Designs is a one-man merch company ran by artist Juan Ortiz. Now his name may not be familiar to you, but his artwork should be, because you've likely seen his designs on TV and Hot Topic, and he's created some of the highest-selling shirt designs in Pro Wrestling Tees history. Of the Dead Designs has created artwork for the biggest names in WWE, AEW, ROH, Impact, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and beyond. I'm talking guys like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, CM Punk, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Road Warrior, Animal, the Lucha Brothers, Jungle Boy, even yours truly. Now you're probably saying, whoa, I'm not in the league of the Young Bucks or Hulk Hogan, brother. There's no way I can afford artwork from Of the Dead Designs. Well, I'm here to tell you you're wrong, because Of the Dead Designs is affordable. Juan isn't just looking to create art for the superstars of today. He wants to make it for the superstars of tomorrow as well. And look, Of the Dead Designs doesn't just do artwork for wrestlers. He'll create merch for your band, your podcast, your dance troupe, your kids' pee-wee football team, your daughter's school bake sale. Heck, got a girl that you're afraid to talk to, but you stalk on Instagram and like all of her photos at around 2 or 3 a.m., and you've been hoping that she get the hint like, hey, I really like you, but she has yet to slide in your DMs, and now you think, well, I got to take it to the next level, so you get Of the Dead Designs to use a photo of her and her ex-boyfriend as a reference to create artwork, but you replace the ex's face with your face, and then present this custom artwork to the chick with hopes that she'll kiss you directly on the lips. Of the Dead Designs will do that for you. With over 14 years of experience and a portfolio of clients that speaks for itself, Of the Dead Designs will make your artwork at a reasonable price. And hey, if you mention this ad, you'll save $10 on your first design. Of the Dead Designs still has spots open for 2020, so you gotta act fast. If you're interested in a design, contact Of the Dead Designs right now
on Instagram at ofthedead209, on Facebook at facebook.com/ofthedeaddesigns, or at his website, ofthedead.weebly.com. Of the Dead Designs, bringing artwork to life. We will return to the Iron on Wrestling podcast in just a moment, but I wanted to take a couple minutes of this time to let you guys know that if you didn't realize it already, Iron on Wrestling is a DIY project. That's right, I'm recording all this myself, I'm editing it in-house all by myself, I'm coming up with the segments and the content, and I'm making sure that each and every Wednesday, by investing countless hours of my personal time, you guys have a new, unique, and entertaining episode blasting into your ear holes. So I hope you don't mind that for a few minutes each episode, you have to deal with a little bit of advertising. Because, quite frankly, I gotta pay those bills somehow. But you know, I don't just pick anyone to be an advertiser on the podcast. When I choose an advertiser for the show, I want to make sure that it's someone that can bring you, the listener, value. I often talk about Of the Dead Designs and my good buddy Juan Ortiz, who can create you a unique logo or t-shirt design for your personal brand. But once that t-shirt design is made, who's going to print it for you? Well, that's where Jesse Massey and SBS Printing comes in. Jesse is a good friend of mine, and much like me in this podcast, he's DIY. For over 10 years, Jesse has been printing t-shirts and hoodies in the comfort of his own home, and he's been the official t-shirt printer for guys like myself, Atticus Koger, Eddie Only, Ricky Shane Page, basically all the 440 guys. My favorite thing about Jesse Massey is the quick turnaround time. When I go to Jesse and I need a shirt design printed right away, I know that he'll have it ready for me within 3 to 5 days, sometimes even quicker. And on top of that, he's affordable. Jesse and SBS can print one color shirt designs for as low as $5. $5. Where are you going to find another deal like that? Now you're probably thinking at a price like that, there's no way these could be quality, long-lasting prints. Wrong! They're super high quality and they're going to last you a lifetime. Jesse and SBS can print you t-shirts, zip-up hoodies, sweaters, and so much more. I encourage you to hit up Jesse right now. Shoot him an email at antisepticmaxrock@gmail.com. That's ANTISEPTIC maxrock@gmail.com. With Jesse Massey and SBS, you're going to get the best. That's no BS.
All right, it's been a busy weekend in Texas, and we've been planning to do this for a little bit, but it's finally happening.
Yeah, what, since 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, it's crazy.
We were talking about this at Freelance.
I know, but we're finally making it happen today. It's me and WARHORSE, and how you feeling, man?
I'm good. I'm feeling really good. Getting ready to do commentary. Right now we're in between shows, so
yeah.
And I'm trying to save my voice, so that's why I'm not doing the gruff voice right now.
Yeah, well, I think the gruff. Once you do that for about 3 hours, it's gonna be gone, right?
Once I'm done with that, I'm done. I'm gonna check out and go drink a gallon of honey.
Do you regret making part of your character have the gruff voice?
No, because I think my normal speaking voice kind of sounds like it's from the Valley.
Okay.
So it doesn't fit. And I hate how I sound on videos anyways, so I just found something way more appropriate.
I gotcha. Well, it works for you. I mean, obviously, you've always been an incredible wrestler, but I think for a while, people, there was a connection missing, right? But then all of a sudden you come up with the WARHORSE thing and everything changes for you.
Yeah, it took me a bit to figure this out, and I had ideas for it maybe like 6 months before I debuted it, so this was all in the works. And basically my car broke down. This is a weird segue to get to where we're at.
Okay.
But my car broke down on the way to Chattanooga, and I had to try and figure out a way to get it home. So I rented a U-Haul, and I drove the U-Haul home, and while I was driving home, I was like, hey, I should cut promos in the back of this so that way I can, like, try to raise some money for this damn U-Haul.
Okay.
So I did that. It worked. So I paid off the U-Haul whenever I got back, and I didn't know what was going on with the motor in my car, so I took out, like, $1,500 in bank loans and stuff like that, right? Because I was expecting the worst, like a new motor, a new car. I didn't know what was going on. Well, come to find out, Hyundai Sonatas had an issue that was covered by the company, so now I had $1,500 that I could use for whatever.
Okay.
We were also going on a scheduled vacation, so we had a nice vacation, didn't have to worry about anything. When I got back, I just used the rest of the money to invest in, like, new gear and the ideas that I had to try and make sure that, like, this new gimmick was going to take off without a hitch.
Yeah.
I started messing with face paint. I made that wall that's in my basement.
Yeah.
I actually got the idea from that while I was on vacation because we were in, like, the queue for Kong Skull Island.
Okay.
And it's like spooky caves with skulls and stuff like that. I was like, I can make this. This can't be that hard. And I told my wife, and she's like, you're going to make a gorilla? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm going to make a cave. It's going to be like a cave wall.
Just a giant gorilla.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's just as big. I could.
I believe it. I've seen some of the stuff you post online, like you painting your weight set with Legion of Doom and everything.
Yeah,
it's badass.
Luckily, Animal got to see those before he passed
really?
away. And he liked
That's
them a lot.
cool.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
But no, I get crafty with stuff, and a gimmick like this, I get to, like, make random stuff. And now I'm trying to get a motorcycle so I can chop it out and get crafty with that.
That's awesome. Where do these ideas stem from? Like, where does the origin of this Warhorse character begin?
So growing up, I was always into, like, classic rock, and then obviously the next step from that is, like, heavy metal and stuff like that. And I used to go shoot pool in bars with my dad, and he was never a drinker at the time that we were doing this, so it's not like he was drunk. And then it was small town Southern Illinois bars, so we got to know everybody in the bar, and, like, nobody with malicious intent. I'm literally a teenager in a room full of adults that are not letting me drink any alcohol. So all we did was shoot pool and, like, listen to jukebox. So I was around a lot of motorcycle culture, a lot of, like, heavy metal type influences, hard rock, stuff like that. And then, you know, I remember sitting there watching dudes come in from duck hunting at, like, noon, and they were playing, like, $100 a rack shooting 3-ball.
Yeah.
Which is, like, takes 2 seconds to finish a game of 3-ball if you know what you're doing. So they're just, like, running racks of that, and it's nothing to them. So those are, like, memories that I have, just weird shit like that, hanging out in bars.
Your dad sounds a lot like my dad, especially with the classic rock influence. Now, obviously, we know you love heavy metal, but your classic rock influences, who would you say are your favorite classic rock artists?
I always categorize, like, Sabbath in that as well as, like, metal. Sure. I don't know. They're super groovy sometimes, so it's just, like, fun, easy listening with them. And then, like, I always love Boston, their first album.
Love Boston.
It's a solid classic. The whole thing, like, from top to bottom, is just bangers.
Yeah.
And did you know they made that album in a fucking basement?
I did not know that.
Am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah, fucking cuss all you want.
It's a little late now.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, they made that whole album in a basement. That was like the first SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, he
that's
did
crazy.
it, sent it into the studio or the record company, and they were like, "Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, we should print this." And he was like, "Awesome, cool." So yeah, it was kind of by accident. It was just like studio session type thing.
Because of my dad, I lean towards people like Steve Miller, Tom Petty.
I love Tom Petty.
I
so
love
much.
Tom Petty, man. I was supposed to see him before he passed away, and at the time, the girl I was dating, she was like, "You don't have money to go to a Tom Petty concert." I was like, "Oh God, please let me go," and then I didn't go.
Do you know a bunch of Tom Petty facts? I know a couple.
I probably should know more, but I mean, I love the music. What Tom Petty facts do you have?
So, on King of the Hill, do you ever watch that?
Yeah, he did a voice on there.
Yeah, you know the character Lucky?
Yeah.
They came up with him because they were like, what if Tom Petty didn't have any money?
I remember reading this now.
And then Tom Petty voiced him. So that's literally Tom Petty was like, "Oh, I slipped on PP at the Costco and now I got money."
I love that so much.
But also, one time he went in for like a record negotiation and he was expecting them to try and like lowball him on all this stuff. So he walked in, he like kicked his feet up on the desk and then pulled out a pocket knife and started cleaning his nails and was like, "What are we talking about today, boys?"
That's amazing.
Dude, that's such a baller move. I can't wait to do that. So someone think I won't.
Well, they're
probably will be some sort of indie scenario where you got to kind of play your
yeah.
cards right and just bust out with that pocket knife.
Or
know?
you could do the Kevin Nash. You know the Kevin Nash?
Which one?
That's where you get your buddy to follow you into the office, and he plays it cool, and you're like bad cop, to where you just kick the fucking door open, and you're like, God damn it!
I love
and then
that.
the guy tries to talk to the cooler head, which is the Scott Hall in the scenario, and Scott Hall's always like, oh, you got to talk to him.
Right. That's amazing.
So the dude just knows he's cornered.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Classic rock scenarios. What are your favorite heavy metal bands?
Oh man, I love Death Angel.
Okay.
I love Venom.
Okay.
Midnight's a newer one. They're killer. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got like posters on the wall. Yeah, right there.
Yeah,
there's
like,
a poster.
right, yep.
We're at a metal venue.
It's a sick venue
for the most part. Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's great. I just got done filming a interview with the Mosh Network outside.
Okay.
So that was cool. They're on like TikTok and stuff like that. They're trying to keep metal up to date and trendy by putting it on there with the TikTok dancers, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just did an interview with them, and they're very familiar with the venue. So I've never heard of this place until
I've never heard of it either.
Today,
it's right down the street from another sick venue.
Is
the
it?
Aztec? They do a lot of concerts
I've heard
there.
of the Aztec.
Yeah, I
know
went
the
there
Aztec.
last year when I was in Texas because Nerd Rock Josh, that helps with the production here, he knows some guys in We the Kings, so we saw We the Kings and State
that's
Champs.
sweet.
Not exactly heavy metal, but
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah,
they have guitars. Like
for sure.
I'll listen to anything with the guitar as long as it's not like country.
Okay.
If it's
fair.
90s country, I'll get down.
See, you're like Ricky Shane Page, because sometimes he'll just get in these kicks in the car rides where it's like Garth Brooks and Brooks and Dunn and Alan Jackson.
Well, then we probably had like a similar childhood. Then,
probably,
if that's the case.
Probably.
That's the only reason I listen to that stuff.
Well, so you bring up your childhood. One thing in my research that I found out is your parents going through a divorce. kind of led you towards professional wrestling. Is that true?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So my parents split up, and as they split up, my mom moved us to a town in Marissa, Illinois, and my dad moved to Lake Egypt. So every other weekend, it was like a 2-hour drive for my dad and like 10 minutes for my mom. My mom really bent my dad over on the divorce.
Yeah.
But one of my mom's friends had like Invasion 92 on VHS.
Okay. Classic.
And, and he let me borrow it. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and like I just put it in, and like Hulk Hogan's there just beating the shit out of Typhoon in the opener, and I was like, this is amazing. And then the second match was like Flair versus Bret Hart, and I was like, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen, because I had stupid 4-year-old brain.
No, I get that. I get that to an
like
extent.
now I can go back and watch it, and it's like it's great.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
two of the best. But,
For sure.
But like back then, I was like, I just want to see punches and.
I literally was just talking to someone about connecting with the crowd, which obviously you've done over the past few years like no other. And sometimes young guys focus too much on moves, which it's cool to have moves. But like I was telling this dude about psychology, where it's you can't explain it sometimes. I loved Hogan, but sometimes I would put in a tape and watch Hulk Hogan's entrance, and then literally fast forward past the finish and watch him just pose for 10 minutes after. Because like there's something about that character that just compelled me to watch him pose.
It's just larger than life. That's why people get shocked whenever they find out I'm not like a super tall guy.
Yeah.
Or like super jacked or anything. The character's so large that it builds up like a precedent that people expect, and then they get it, and then like they're still fine with it. It's not like it takes them out of the moment. They're just like, oh, this is kind of like a normal guy.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's why like I always hate that idea that some of the older generation wrestlers have, where you have to be big and jacked, because like
my thought on that is I wouldn't be over right now if your favorite heavyweights didn't fucking suck. That's their
make
problem,
a good point.
not mine.
You make a good point.
Yeah, if they didn't fucking suck, I wouldn't be over right now.
Yeah, but
You know?
also like I feel like I don't know if anyone's ever saw an incredible match with someone and enjoyed the moves and the connection that the character makes and goes, you know what though, he's 5'9" or 5'10". I can't like
right.
him. You know, I don't think that happens.
I mean, weird person to reference, but that never stopped fucking Davey Richards from doing anything, or
Absolutely
like
not.
Dynamite Kid or anybody like that.
Yes.
Hell, Daniel Bryan. He's probably example number one. He got mega over.
For sure. Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
I mean, like in person, like I think he's always billed as 5'4". He's legitimately 5'2", and he's just revolutionized the business. It's crazy.
Yep. And same thing with like Amazing Red too.
Dude, yes. Red does not get enough respect.
Red's the man.
I mean, he really formed what we see as indie wrestling today back in the early 2000s. He really did.
How weird do you think he feels that like he'll be, if he watches AEW, that he has like gold dust take one of his moves, or like Sting did the fucking Code Red the other day.
It's got to be mind-boggling.
Like that's got to be awesome for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like, so we're talking about these larger-than-life characters. You know, I'm sure you've heard this a million times. Often people reference when they talk about your character in the face paint, they go right to Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Was Ultimate Warrior an influence in the character at all?
It definitely was not. Like, and I'm being dead serious. My biggest influences for this was the band Venom, band Kiss, Road Warriors, and then just like old 80s style promos, because everybody wants to do monologues nowadays, and everybody wants to be thoughtful, and they want to seem smarter than what they are, and it's like, just be who you are. Like, I'm thoughtful, and I try to be as thought out as I can be, but I'm not like the brightest bulb in the box. You know what I mean? And I'll admit to that. So I just got to play to my strengths and not to my weaknesses with that. But I try to be loud and over the top like the 80s wrestlers were, and energetic, and I try to bring the energy to my matches too. And I think that's what helped me get over, was just, it's such a contrast versus like some dude sitting in his car talking about how he's going to like, you're good, but I'm better, and we're going to respect each other after this match. Like, fuck that. Talk about beating some ass.
Right, and like, since you brought that up, probably that guy that's cutting that promo didn't even turn his phone sideways, which is even more annoying.
No, he's terrible.
And also, he's probably going to shake hands after his match, like literally every person does after the... Like, if they don't shake hands in the ring because they're afraid they're not going to be over, they make sure to take a picture with the guy that they just wrestled or they're in a feud with. And, like, listen, there are points where you can do that, but like the dudes that do it all the time, and tell me your thoughts, I literally think it's because they're afraid they won't be over if they don't do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think too many people are trying to get Twitter clout and stuff. That's not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is like getting the character across and keeping kayfabe. Yeah. Because I don't think kayfabe's dead. I think it's just different now.
I agree with you.
If I took my face paint off and started talking to my normal voice, like this doesn't count.
But
if I started doing that on my social media, people would be like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
They would be confused, and it would be a disconnect, and they would just be, very off put.
For sure.
And people like me, people like Effie, people like Danhausen, we try to keep kayfabe with what we're doing, and like you and Ricky and the great things you guys were doing with Game Changer, you guys kept kayfabe that whole time, and that's what people want. They might know that, we're not really trying to hurt each other, but they want to invest and have something to sink their teeth in, because for so fucking long in wrestling have we insulted people's intelligence and assumed that they know what's going on and like treated it as such.
Yeah.
And like, okay, so here's a good example. So I was the IWTV champ, yeah? You remember the Collective last year in October?
Sure.
So I had the IWTV belt, and Jerry is the IWTV boss man. Jerry had the idea. He's like, "Hey, I want to have somebody take the belt." And I was like, "Okay, well, let me like put my spin on it, and we'll have something cool." So after my match at Glory against Zach Wentz, I went to go look for the belt, but it wasn't there. So I had to like act like nothing was wrong. I know for a fact wrestling fans are so used to me going, grabbing the belt, posing with the belt. That's what you do. Even if any champion of any company, that's what you fucking do.
Right.
Now they notice the belt is gone after title defense. I don't need to do anything else to draw their attention to it. I'll just let them connect their own pieces, and like I'll ask if a fan is like, "Hey, I think such and such had it." I'll acknowledge it, but I'm not going to tweet about it. I'm not going to say anything. They're smart enough to figure it out.
Right.
Couple hours later, people are like trying to figure out who took it, and there's like rumblings in this collective because there's all these shows running at once.
Yeah.
So I took the belt. We went to Applebee's. I took the belt in the parking lot, took a picture of it, and put it on fucking Craigslist.
Love it.
Dan the dad put it that it was on Craigslist, and people actually emailed in saying, "Fuck you,
this is
you're
awesome.
a piece of shit," and stuff like that. And it's like you can do little things that seem based in reality that don't have to insult everybody's intelligence, and they can just have fun. And then whenever the following night Gary J walked out with the belt, come to find out he stole it, and it just got such a good reaction because people were like, "Oh," and then they were like, "This is the only show the whole weekend outside of Game Changer that set up any angles going out of this thing." And it's like it wasn't even a hard angle to push. I just had to pretend the thing was missing, put it on Craigslist.
Right.
And which is a tactic I saw somebody do with like a company in Detroit a long time ago.
Okay.
And it was great then.
Yeah.
So, I can't even take claim to the good idea that I had, but it still worked, and there's just so much you can do without insulting people's intelligence and keeping kayfabe, and it's much more fun to play along with than it is to be like, "Oh yeah, we're going to go out and have good matches, and then you're just going to jump me from behind, and we're just going to have me chase the belt for a while."
Do you think there's a lack of angles in independent professional wrestling?
I do, but I don't I don't blame the boys, and I don't blame even the bookers. I think it's just a lot of people don't know what to do, because every once in a while I'll put on like Cornette's podcasts, right? And he'll complain about just the Outlaw Mud Show stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying, oh, well, if you had back in the territory days and blah, 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 but they had a structure and they had so many people to learn from, where we're kind of winging it based on things that have happened and things we've seen. And like the good angles are good because it was based pretty much off of something in the territory, or it would have fit right in. You know what I mean? We don't have those people here firsthand to actually take accounts from, or like to give booking advice. Like who do you really go to for booking advice at this point that doesn't already work for WWE or AEW or someplace that they're unattainable?
Right.
You know, it's just not a thing. So I don't even blame the people for the lack of knowledge around. I blame just that, like, the lack of people for the lack of knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And like, I'm glad you brought up Cornette, because he's such a polarizing figure, and obviously he says a lot of shit that people are like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? He's out of touch. But also, like, if you look past the bullshit sometimes, he does say stuff that, like, makes sense, but it's hard to agree with him because he says this other stuff that's so out there.
Even whenever he has an opinion that you can disagree with, he still has a reason why he thinks that way. He's not like most people. My biggest problem isn't with Cornette, because he had a hand in a lot of things that I've enjoyed as far as wrestling goes, whether it's the Attitude Era, whether it's early 90s WCW, whether it's Smoky Mountain, whether it's like...
Love Smoky Mountain.
Fucking Ring of Honor World Title Division in 2008 to 2012. Oh my God, so good.
Yep.
Or TNA, whenever he was trying to like do stuff. So he obviously knows what he's doing. I don't have a problem with him. I have a problem with his fan base, because his podcast makes you think you're sitting in on a conversation, and you're not. And it makes it seem like you know him, and you don't really know him.
Sure.
And you hear what he's saying, and you agree with it, and you think that you know best, better than everybody else that's watching the same thing you are, and you have no experience, you have no credentials. Jim can say whatever he wants because he's booked it. He's been there. He's done all this stuff, and he's been there for more than just a cup of coffee. This is somebody that like people still ask booking advice for and reach out to. But his fans act like they can piggyback off of that and tell people how it is whenever they have so little to nothing to offer to the wrestling world other than they heard Jim say something. So like my AEW thing with Cody, match was good. Didn't hear any flack about it until that Friday when his podcast came out. Not even from him. He had critiques. He didn't like my shape and how I look, and I shook my head too much. Understandable. Those are all valid criticisms. But then people started telling me I fucking suck because they heard what they thought was Jim shitting on me on purpose.
They interpreted the way they wanted
it that way. Yeah, because they just want to hear him yell at things and they want to hate things. And like, that's fine, I guess, but they were trying to act like I don't know what I'm doing. And
it's
like,
not fine, though, because it feels like there's great wrestling fans that I love, but there's a minority of wrestling fans that just like, and nameless, faceless on social media, that just want to hate on shit constantly. And I can't think of another thing where the quote fan base wants to hate on something that they supposedly love. Like, if there was a television show that I watched once and it fucking sucked, like I actually hated it, I wouldn't come back next week to just go back on Twitter and be like, this show still fucking sucks, you know?
You should meet more metal fans.
You know what? You make a good point. You make a good point. Yeah. Oh, God.
They love to hate things. They are elitist weirdos. But,
and that makes sense because, like, I feel like the band community and like it's the traveling act and the performance art, like it's the same type of environment as pro wrestling.
And they're having a similar issue that wrestling's having, to where there's a ton of bands. None of them are doing anything creative. They're just doing like rehashes of old stuff, and nobody's thinking outside the box, and they're having issues getting metal popular and stuff. It's very similar to like wrestling. And the people that are doing stuff that's worth talking about still aren't getting radio play because it's heavy metal and just like it just has that stigma. It's always going to have that stigma. But what I'm saying is, go listen to Eternal Champion. They fucking rule.
I will have to do that.
Yeah. And Municipal Waste. If you like to party out.
Yes, I know them.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
You brought up your people with what they want Twitter clout. Now you actually have social media investment from fans. Like, you have a large fan base and you do great numbers on social media. What's your secret? What's your strategy on social media to keep those fans coming back for more content?
I think looking at it like content is the wrong way to look at it.
Okay.
I think treating it like YouTube is the wrong way to look at it. because YouTuber culture has made us think that everything is content and everything's marketable and blah, blah, blah. Versus me personally, I'd rather get my personality across. I think that's the most important thing in wrestling, because most people forget that, like, The Rock did a sharpshooter.
He definitely did.
Yeah, he definitely did. But most people forget that because he's just such an overpowering character that, like, you forget that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I think personality is the first and foremost, and then if you have personality in what you're saying, you can have 10 people cut one promo with the same bullet points, and everybody's personality, you'll see who brings their personality to the table. You know what I mean? If somebody gave me bullet points versus gave you bullet points, our promos would be completely different, and they would still both be watchable because we have our personality injected into it instead of just focusing on words we want to say.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I agree completely.
I don't know. Sometimes I ramble, so I don't know.
No, your rambling is good. I always have the same fear. You know, we're a lot alike. We were talking a lot at the gimmick table earlier, just like we're making that connection. And so, like, when we talk about social media and you say, you know, it's not creating content, I always sort of say the same thing for Patreon and what I'm creating with the podcast. I feel like we have a community that we've created for people to just come back and, like, something I didn't expect with the podcast is, like, I've built these relationships with these people that have emotionally invested in what I'm doing, and I so greatly appreciate that. And I feel like that's got to be the same feeling for you.
Sure. I have so many people reaching out, checking on me, things like that. And I feel like the personality is what builds those relationships. They not only like the character, they love the character, they want to get to know the character, and then they want to get to know the person behind the character, which is all these things are great and fine. But I think there's that other side of the coin where people focus too much on character and they can't fucking wrestle whatsoever. And I feel like we're starting to see a lot of people that can't wrestle but have great characters.
God damn it. I'm so mad that we're going to have to wrap this up shortly.
No.
Because God, I want to talk to you about all of this stuff.
I feel like for all the good me, Danhausen and Effie have done for bringing light to characters, we've also opened up a door for a lot of people to think that they can just skate by and not have any fucking talent for what we do. Because I work my fucking ass off to have banger matches and try to do new stuff all the time. I'm constantly rotating things in. I'm trying to keep what works and then focus on new things. But if I didn't have face paint and I didn't have my battle vest and I didn't go and headbang and do all that stuff, I could still chain wrestle and I could still fucking have a compelling match because I did it for years before.
You did.
And that's what I fucking did, and that was my job. And then I just did this, and like you said, I found the missing piece, and it works for me. But there's a lot of people that want a shortcut, and they don't want to work on basics. They don't want to work on fundamentals, and they don't want to go to fucking training. And it's bullshit because you're not going to get anywhere. And whenever you do get a look at you, you're going to get fucking laughed at, and you're just wasting your own time, and you're gassing up your own ego, and you can't take criticisms at that point. There's so many things I want to say to these people.
Yeah.
Ooh,
but
because they think I'm just like a character guy nonstop. And it's like, no, fucker, you got work to do.
But like the majority of these people also are ignorant of the fact that they're no good.
Yep.
And that's the problem. I'm sure you've seen this, Warhorse, so many shows where two guys will come to the back after they have a match that only could be described as a dog shit. Yeah. And then they come through the curtain and they're just stroking each other off. Go, brother, we had him in the palm of our hand. And it's just like...
And they didn't.
And they're not asking anybody for feedback. They just think they did awesome.
And they're wrestling for weird gifts and Twitter clout instead of wrestling for their live audience. Trust me, for anyone listening to this that's a worker, wrestle for your live audience. It will translate, and then you will get gift. Yep. It's fine. Don't wrestle for the gifts. And also, most of the gifts, your spots look like shit anyways. Just knock it off and get fucking better.
Well, also, I feel like we live in a generation where, you know, these guys aren't studying full matches of guys that are good, but then also in this generation, dudes will just see a gif and not know how that gift was applied. And that doesn't mean that that gift was applied properly anyways, like the spot, I'm saying. You know what I mean? And so then they'll do it in their match and not know where to put it to make sense. And it's not helping anything.
Yeah, and it's not even just on an indie level. It's all levels. One time I saw, it was like, what day does Cruiserweight show come out? 205 Live. What day is that? Like Wednesdays or something?
Something like that. I'm not even sure.
So it was like a Monday, and like a Tajiri versus Super Crazy gif was going around. It was like a powerbomb spot, right? And they like countered the powerbomb and buzzsaw kick, all that good shit, right? But it was very distinctly their spot.
For sure.
I saw the same goddamn spot on 205 Live.
That week, huh?
Yeah, and it wasn't even The worst part is I don't watch the show. It was a clip I saw online, so they took a clip, repeated it, and got a clip online.
Jesus.
So it's like they're doing it at literally all levels, and it's okay to steal a little bit if you can change it and tweak it and make it your own.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to just outright do the fucking spot. Oh my
Right.
God. And if you're listening to this, you know who you are, fucker.
I want to talk about something real quick, see if you remember it. Obviously, again, so happy that you really put the pieces together for your character and have become the talent that you are all around. But do you remember the first time we actually got to work together? During the Viking War Party era?
Gathering of the Juggalos.
Yes.
Oh, my
yep.
God.
That was like 2015, 2014, something like that.
Yes.
Talk to me about that experience, because for me, the first gathering of Juggalos, and I don't know, did you do any gatherings before that one?
That was our first one.
Okay, so I did the year before, and it was a whole different world. And it was I'm not a Juggalo. Whoop, whoop. I will say whoop, whoop, though.
Right.
And I love Juggalos.
Family.
But, like, there was no Wi-Fi at this gathering that I was at the year before.
No.
It was a totally different world. And, like, literally, even though it's not my thing with, like, there was a drug bridge with just constant drugs at all times. And I'm not a drug guy. I'm not a drug guy.
I'm not either.
But, like, dude, if I were to go back in time to a moment in my life, a weekend, it would be Gathering of Juggalos 2013. But then 2014, I feel like it was a very awkward experience because there's Wi-Fi and it just didn't feel as loose.
Right.
But I was happy that I got to work with you guys, but it was weird circumstances. Tell me about what you remember.
I think you got there a little late.
Yep.
You never gave us anything that made us think you didn't like us, but you seemed like dejected, like you had other shit going on.
I was
and,
definitely
like,
dejected because KG told me that they wanted me, despite being on the gathering last year and clearly being a wrestler, he said he wanted me to be the ref, if you recall.
Yeah, and then you ripped the ref shirt off.
So I had to pretend I wasn't me, even though I was me.
Even though you're very distinctly you.
Yes, and then I took off the ref shirt, and then I was sort of in the match.
Right.
So I kind of hated my life that day.
And then there was, the only thing I really remember is we dropped Zach Gowen on the dive.
Did you?
Yeah.
See, I don't remember.
Didn't because I wasn't catching.
Okay.
But Alex dropped him.
Okay.
It was hilarious.
I'm sure it wasn't hilarious for
no,
Zach.
No, not for Zach, no. But, and then there was like a Chris Benoit cutout in the crowd.
Oh, God, I don't remember that at all.
Somebody was shaking that at us, and we tried to grab it and rip it up, but they wouldn't let us grab it.
Oh,
those
my
juggalos
God.
are fast.
They're quick.
They're a quick breed, those juggalos. But and then they gave, so we used to do a double choke slam backbreaker into the double stomp, right?
Yeah.
And they gave it to Zach, and they go, man, he went up so light. And I was like, why do you fucking think?
He's
Come
missing
on.
about 80 pounds.
Oh, my God.
From that limb.
Yeah.
That was
but
amputated.
No, you guys were super professional and everything. Everything was fine. And, like, we tried to ask for critiques. I don't remember what y'all said, but I'm sure it was good and, like, productive and stuff. Because at that point, I was maybe 2 years in.
Yeah, you were young in it.
Yes.
But, like, I mean, you've come so far, and, like, seriously, I'm thankful that we get to have this conversation now, especially because I love the character and just your technical wrestling ability, I feel like, was overlooked for a long time.
Yeah.
And now I feel like just people can really focus in on what you're doing and just the total package that you are.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah.
That means a lot coming from you. It really does.
Retromania was a big thing.
Oh, sick. Oh, my God.
You winning that contest. I mean, I would have liked to have won it. I got through a couple rounds.
All would, whenever I was against, what's his name from What Culture Wrestling? The guy who slaps his head.
Oh, Simon.
Simon.
Yeah,
he has like 80,000 followers on Twitter.
Cool
and
dude.
He's like relative. Oh, I'm sure he's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk to him. I got to ask him for like nutrition advice. He's a big dude.
He's jacked.
But he was like, he had that following, and I was like, well, I'm out. This is good. This was a good run. But no, somehow I overcame that, and then it was like me and Matt Cross, and I don't even think Cross touched his phone that day.
He must not have.
And I was like hammering that fucking thing out. I was like, oh, we got to do this. And then we did it, and I was in the game. And now those guys are super cool to me. II Arcade, the arcade company, they sent me an arcade cabinet with like my face on the side of it, along with everybody else on the roster. Oh, it's so cool. And then I just got linked up with Jong, who owns the company, and he's like sending me games, and I went up and did a live stream with them, and he's like the nicest guy. I got him to come to a Warrior show, and I'm trying to introduce them to pro wrestling tees and like trying to help everybody kind of like weave together, because I think there's a ton of potential for different projects that can happen with like an arcade company or like Pro Wrestling Tees, or like I just started talking with that Cella Toys. They did the Ethan Page figure. I just signed a thing with them, so hopefully we'll have like a Warhorse figure. But I talked to Retromania about reaching out to them for 2 reasons. Because number one, they don't have a wrestling ring for their figures, so they can have a Retromania wrestling ring for action figures, because a bright red plastic ring would just like pop.
It's badass.
And number two, those guys have the rights to Hayabusa. How did they get them? And how can Retromania get him to put him as DLC in the game?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to make happen.
That would be sick.
Because, you know, we got to weave all this shit together.
Yeah.
So,
dude, you're really bringing it together for everybody.
I'm trying.
That's awesome, dude. One more thing I want to touch on before we wrap it up. You, in your personal life, you recently got married.
Yay!
How do you feel, man? Like, how do you feel about that?
Okay, so I'm not going to go in depth about the actual wedding process. Ceremony was awesome. Ceremony was exactly what we wanted. The stuff on the day beforehand, or all the stuff leading up to it, sucked. Stuff after it, leading up to it, or after like all the fallout, sucked. But me and my wife Tammy, we were on the same page on all of it. So that was really nice to know that like this super stressful environment where everything seems to be going wrong. Like 20 minutes after the ceremony ended, my mom twisted her ankle. And then we went to the restaurant and we had 27 people with us and the reservations canceled.
Oh God.
So we had to like scramble. So everything that could go wrong was going wrong. It was like everybody thinks they have a bad wedding, and then just sit down for a spell, kid. I'll explain what a bad wedding is. But me and Tammy, luckily, were on the same page for all of it, and that's how I know that like we're gonna be together forever. So that's always good. And just to know that like in that stressful situation, we could look at each other and be like, yeah, we both mutually agree that this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So, and everything's been great after that. We got back from Vegas, and you know how they say that COVID is like some people try to assume it's like the common cold?
Yeah.
Well, the strand that they're talking about is COVID-23, not COVID-19, and my mom got COVID-23.
Oh, okay.
And so she had to go into the hospital for like a week.
That's
awful. I guess I've never really talk about this online or anything like that, but my stepdad has stage 4 cancer.
Oh, fuck,
and
dude,
that
I'm
happened.
sorry.
Well, yeah, and he didn't get diagnosed with that until January, and that's why you can see a big noticeable dip in my social media after like the Cody match, because his cancer started to get worse. And January they actually gave us the diagnosis of stage 4.
Yeah.
We knew at the beginning of the pandemic, but all that was going on. I was unemployed trying to make money off wrestling and I'm so thankful for the fans, for anyone that bought any merch during this past year, because that was basically my living. I haven't had like a shoot job until just recently. I started something for like a meal prep company.
Yeah.
But my mom went in the hospital. I had to stop everything I was doing, get off work, and go to my stepdad's to make sure that he was taken care of, because I love my mom and my dad, but my stepdad's the only one that was there 100% for wrestling and like believed that I could actually do something. So yeah, I'm gonna stop everything I can to fucking help this guy out. I love Dave.
Yeah.
He's a good man. But helped out with that, and it just like brought back memories. I'm getting into the Mike Kanellis thing. Is where I'm going with this. Or Mike Bennett, not Mike Kanellis. Why did I say Mike Kanellis?
That's what he was in WWE.
Was it? Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. Weird. He took her name. That's cool. That's cool.
I think that's what made it funny.
Doing big, baby. But anyways, so I was over there watching him, and it gave me like reminders of the shit that I was going through earlier in the year. Of like I couldn't eat right, I couldn't work out and do what I needed to because I had to stop everything to help Dave. I was over there 2 or 3 days a week. And because I was the only one in my family that actually had like the time to do that, and struggling on bills and all this stuff. It was fucking rough. But going into the show at Cape Championship Wrestling, I was getting really depressed. I was like, man, I don't know if wrestling's working. Like, I don't have a contract or anything like that. And like, I'm just, getting in my own head, as you do.
Yep.
And, this stuff hurts. I got rocked the weekend prior and like had a concussion, so it was already messing with my head then, being depressed from that. So I sit at this show, Mike Bennett's running his seminar, I'm sitting in this room, I have my face paint on, and I'm trying to come up with a promo because I'm like, I have to make something. I sat in that room for 2 fucking hours, didn't think of anything. I just cut a couple cameos and like made sure those guys were happy, because I don't want to disappoint anybody. I fucking fumble cameos all the time. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I think I'm going to quit. This is stupid. I can't. I'm just out of it. I don't have my mind or heart in it. I talked to Mike Bennett for like a good 45 minutes, and now I'm fucking back to the races. He's like, dude, I was in the same position at 8 years in, and they're like, that's where I'm at, Mike. And he's like, well, you know, it's just a matter of place and time. I think you have everything you need and all this stuff. And I'm like, really? Like, I think I'm kind of out of shape at this point. He goes, no, dude, you're in good shape. You're getting in better shape. Because, dude, like January, I had abs, but no shows to show that I had abs.
Right.
So I have no fucking pictures of it other than like the 2 that I have on my phone.
Yeah.
But now I'm getting back to like eating my macros and stuff because, like I said, meal prep company and
Sure.
all that stuff. And then now I just feel like reinvigorated just because I was talking to him and he gave me so much helpful advice from someone who's actually been in the same situation. Because it's one thing to get advice from someone who's like just trying to look out for your best interest, but it's another from a stranger, like essentially a stranger who's been in the same scenario and is like filling you in on what they see from the outside looking in. So
Yeah.
the conversation I had with him basically kept me in wrestling for like however long I'm going to be in now. So it definitely like put a big extension on Warhorse stuff.
Hell yeah. You look, man, I appreciate you sharing that story. I usually ask guys at the end what inspires them, but I feel like you were inspired by Mike.
Yeah, it was Mike Bennett.
He's really pushing you
forward.
forward.
Anybody ever says anything bad about him, he's such a positive guy. I will fucking attack you in the streets. Oh, my God.
Well, listen, I'm glad you're not quitting. What you need to do, though, right now, you need to quit this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to go do commentary, but I'm pissed.
I got to go do Cookie Monster voice for about 3 hours.
There you go. But I need you to make me a promise
What's
because
that?
I love this conversation, even though it's short. We have to do this again.
Oh, yeah.
I
feel like we hardly touched anything.
A bunch of notes randomly about a bunch of shit that I wanted to talk about because I do my research. I'm very much prepared. But if someone wanted to find you on social media or contact you for maybe a cameo or something, how could they do that?
At JP Warhorse on Twitter, at JP Warhorse on Instagram, at JP Warhorse on TikTok. If you have any fan mail or anything, I have a P.O. box. But to get that info, just email warhorserulessass@gmail.com. Would you believe that wasn't taken?
That's crazy to me.
That's what I say to everybody.
Well, I got to say, this interview ruled ass, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do it.
Hey, thanks, man.
That was the interview with Warhorse. I can't thank Jake enough for taking the time to talk with me. It was a long time coming. I wish we would have talked longer, but we had commitments. We had to get back to a wrestling show. But he did promise me that we're going to get a part 2 at some point, and that's the end of the show this week. Thank you again, Warhorse, for being on the podcast. Warhorse proved today that he indeed does rule ass, and he ruled this podcast. And we'll be back next week with a new episode, and I'll tell you the guest.
You're going to tell us?
I'm going to tell you the guest for the first time in over a year. He was one of the original guests on the show. He's done a lot of growing, a lot of changing. Cody Lane, the Southern Flamingo, is going to be on the podcast. And I'm telling you, I recorded this while I was in Texas. I don't know if I've laughed as much as I laughed while talking with Cody. He's a great kid. He's underrated. He's one of my favorite dudes in independent wrestling right now. And you're going to love this episode. And you should go back in the archives and listen to the old episode with Cody because you're going to be able to compare and contrast how much this guy has grown and changed over the last year and a half. He's a great kid. You're going to love the episode. He's actually the guy that prank called as my doctor earlier in the show. So thank you, Cody, for that. And I'm sure everyone is going to enjoy your episode. I know I did. And until next week, you, of course, can follow Iron on Wrestling on all forms of social media. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at Iron on Wrestling. We post original content all the time, rare photos, videos. We're going to have some rare stuff of Warhorse up this week on the Patreon, courtesy of Warhorse, of course. We thank him for that. And, of course, you can follow me on social media at Gregory Iron on Twitter, at Gregory_Iron on Instagram. Find me on Facebook. DM me if you want to book me for pro wrestling seminars, motivational speaking engagements, or email me at Gregory_Iron@yahoo.com. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/Gregory Iron for all of your Gregory Iron shirts, as well as an Aaron shirt that is there, some podcast shirts that we have, and the Rod Destiny shirt, which we're only keeping up until July 4th. So get it before it's gone.
Hey, bro.
Go to my Cameo and get a shout out from me for weddings, congratulations on graduation. I don't know, you have a friend that lost their virginity or bought Manscaped and you want me to congratulate them on their purchase.
Hey, maybe 20 friends bought Manscaped.
Perhaps
in
they
the
did.
month of May.
Who knows? Who knows for sure? Aaron, what do you want to plug?
Manscaped.
We plugged that.
Oh, yeah.
What else do you
So
want to
now
plug?
what do I do?
Referring to yourself.
Oh, gosh. What are my...
What would Luke the Bushwhacker want to plug? He would want to plug you.
My butt.
So...
He wants to plug my butt.
Plug yourself. Go ahead.
Okay. At Fair to Air. That's on Twitter. At Fair to Aaron. On Instagram.
I think so. Until next week, we bid you farewell. And we give you a delicious...
I need that kiss right now.
Big, warm, moist kiss
Not
goodbye.
the kiss demon.
No one wants that.
All day long I think of things, but nothing seems to